Savor St. Louis. It is a food tour company, and let's just start with that. What is a food tour?
Well, thanks for having me on, Tony. What a food tour is, it's a walking tour of a neighborhood here in St. Louis with a group of folks. And we walk around, we talk about history, architecture, and culture of our neighborhoods, but we also feature stops at popular restaurants along the way.
So it's a little bit like a pub crawl for those of us who have been on a pub crawl. Maybe, that's a nice little comparison there.
It is.
But it's not just about the food. It's about the neighborhood. It's about the whole thing.
Correct. At each destination, we serve up one of the specialties in a sampler-sized fashion, and then talk a little bit about the chefs, about the restaurants themselves, and then we move on to the next. And we always make sure to route our tours so that there's enough walking in between each stop so that the folks can get hungry for the next one.
Wow. So you do your walking tours, as I understand it, in Central West End and Del Mar Loop, correct?
You bet.
And are they always the same, or do you mix it up? Like if I did the tour this summer in Central West End, might it be a little bit different next summer where you mix and match some of the restaurants?
You know what? There are occasions in which we do that, and that just depends on the restaurants themselves. Sometimes new restaurants come in and we do try them out, but for the most part, we try to be as loyal as we can to our participating restaurants. We always say we want to be your best customer, so we've built these really strong relationships with the proprietors and the chefs of the restaurants we stop at, so we really try to stay true to that. We do, however, swap in and out from time to time to try new restaurants on our routes, because there's always great new restaurants popping up, and especially both those neighborhoods that we'd love to try. So you just need to check back in on our website at savorstlouis.com, and that can give you some updates on what to expect in your next food tours.
So when I decide I want to go on a food tour, is this something where my wife and I can just go and we can sign up and then we end up with some other group of strangers, or is it something where you normally do groups of 8 to 10, or how does that work?
You bet. You can do it a couple ways. So if you go on our website, you can just sign up, you and your wife, to take one of our food tours. And we top off at about 15 per tour. And what you do is actually make friends along the way. So not only do you learn about the neighborhoods, get to try the food, but by the time you're at the end of a 3-hour tour, you've made a number of new friends that you might not have known before. There's another option too, and that's our private tours, which we usually do for corporate or for special events like bachelorette parties or birthday parties, where you can reserve a tour on a different day or maybe even on the weekend, and that's when you'd know everybody there. We've done tours usually 12 to 15, but we've also taken as many as 30 to 50.
So when you pay for the tour, does that then take care of all of the food that's involved? You're not at each stop a different restaurant then going and paying for the food and that sort of thing?
Exactly. We try to make it as easy as possible for all our guests, so they just pay one flat fee, and that covers all of the tastings and the gratuities for the servers at the restaurants. The only thing it does not cover, if they think our guides did a great job, is any gratuity for our tour guides.
Okay. And what about drinks if you want to drink with the food at the various places?
Yes, we get a lot of folks requesting to have some beverages during the tour. Everything comes with water, which is great. But yeah, absolutely. All of our restaurants and the servers there are trained to come up to the table to ask if anyone would like to have another kind of beverage, because St. Louis has so much to offer in the beverage department too. So they open and close tabs during the short visits that we're there for the particular guests that want to have, say, a Schlafly or something, try a local brew, or a cocktail, signature cocktail from the restaurant. So we absolutely do that. We add a little bit more time per stop. Should we have some drinking crew? But it works out quite well.
Is your customer base, is it local folks who just want to get to know more about a part of the city that they don't normally go to, or do you get a lot of people from out of town? What sort of people go on a walking food tour?
Sure. That's a great question, Tony. I think we get a little bit of both. We call them either out-of-town tourists, but we also call them local tourists. And I say we get about 50-50 of each of them, because a lot of folks have moved out into the county and really want to reacclimate themselves with the downtown area. This is a perfect opportunity to do so. Then with the out-of-town tourists, they're just looking for something fun to do. So oftentimes they find us on TripAdvisor, because that's where a lot of our reviews live, and they check that out and then decide to book a tour from that.
Are you thinking of expanding to new neighborhoods? I can imagine maybe a Cherokee Street walking tour, a Grand or a Tower Grove area walking tour.
Yes, we are. There's so many neighborhoods here that offer such great food options. It was hard to even zero in on the Central West End and Delmar. We have a lot of love for those neighborhoods. But we're starting to take a look at downtown, believe it or not. Downtown has gotten a lot of great new restaurants. There's some stability with those restaurants. They've been around a long time. And we feel like downtown needs a little bit of love these days. So we're starting to look into expanding into our downtown area.
Is part of the key for what you do, and I don't know, because this is a new concept for me, since you do the walking tours and you involve the architecture and everything else, is part of the key. You really need to be in a neighborhood that's got that unique architecture and buildings that people really want to look at, and all of those other things outside of the restaurants.
Yes, that's part of the reason we chose the first two routes that we did, because of the rich culture and history that both of those offer. And, we do have some sort of a criteria that we need to meet to make sure that it is interesting for these folks. And we're not just going from restaurant to restaurant, but we're able to fill in the gaps with insider scoop and history that people might not have known. Thankfully, I have a co-owner. My co-owner is my mother. Her name's Susan Smith. Mm-hmm. She is a whiz at doing all of the research for the neighborhood. So she helps pull together all of that information and creates the scripts for our tours. Then my brother, he's the chief tasting consultant, helps with the logistics of the tour. And then my father, he's the chief, I guess you could say, chief financial officer. He gets to taste too, though.
So everybody's a chief tasting something or another.
We all are.
I'm serious. This would be so cool to have on a business card, because then you just, you're walking around, you go into the local restaurant. Hi, I'm the chief tasting officer. I need to taste your food right now. It's like, you show your badge. I'm chief tasting officer. I need to taste your food right now.
It gets us in pull. I'm telling you.
It would be awesome. What's your when you do the tours? What's your favorite? Central West End, Delmar. Do you have a preference in terms of which one you like better?
They are so different. And that's why we chose them that way. I have a special love for the Central West End, because that's our very first food tour that we launched. The Delmar tour came about a year later. So that one's been wonderful too, but I do have special love for the Central West End. My parents also live there, and I actually work there too at an ad agency during the day. So we're always around the Central West End.
Now, has the Delmar one been difficult lately because of construction and all of that with the loop trolley? We have had to reroute from time to time, but our tour guides are so good that we go down prior to the tour and check out how Delmar's looking and figure out where we can cross our guests safely and how we can get in and out and maneuver around the traffic. But we've found that all the restaurant owners down there are just so welcoming to have us there, because some people might be deterred from the construction, that might be out-of-town tourists. But you know what? We're not. We take them right in there. We know how to get in and out, and we're able to show off those restaurants that might have had, a little bit of a slow patch because of the construction. So they've been wonderful to work with throughout this. And, it's moving further down north, the construction, so it's getting easier for us to move around. Awesome. Jennifer Schmidt, she is the Chief Tasting Officer with, and I'm going to get it right so we can get the website out there, with Savor St. Louis Food Tours. That's www.savorstlouis.com. You can go there. You can get tickets. You can go on a food tour in Central West End or in Delmar. How long does a tour take? What are we talking about in terms of beginning to end?
3 hours.
3 hours. It's a 3-hour tour. Do we have any Gilligan's music we can play?
That would be great.
3-hour tour. Isn't that? I think that's directly from the song Gilligan's Island. You've
I remember.
never gotten people stuck on an island while you're doing
No,
the tour.
we
have you?
haven't. No, we haven't. But
Haven't
we-
lost any customers yet.
Not yet.
Okay, that's good.
But we do tell them to come hungry and to wear comfy shoes.
Yeah, you gotta wear the comfy shoes. So, is this a popular thing in other cities?
Yeah.
Is it something that's kind of a big deal now? A lot of foodies in the
Absolutely.
world these days.
Absolutely. I think with Food Network and all the food TV shows, food tours have been very popular in other cities. That's where we got the idea. We took food tours in New York, Chicago, Seattle, New Orleans, and came back here and wondered, why don't we have a food tour here in St. Louis? We have so much to show off. And so my family, we have a huge love for, food, family, and St. Louis. We also own the Royale Food and Spirits, which
Yep.
is which is a bar and restaurant in South City. So once we got that up and running and stabilized, we said, "Hey, let's start that food tour." So we did.
I think the natural, you can give me credit for this idea, but I think you have to expand to a craft beer tour.
Oh.
I think that's where the only problem with the craft beer tour is you got to get a big bus. Because
Yeah.
you couldn't really walk the craft beer tour. First of all, they're too far away. You could do one.
It would take a long time.
But really, you got to go to Lafayette Square, and you got to go downtown, and you got to go to Tower Grove, and you got to go to Maple. So
Yeah.
you'd have to do a bus, but that could be a lot of fun.
It could. I might be giving you a call, Tony.
Craft beer tour, I like that. I would be the Kramer of the craft tour beer business. I'd be driving the bus, looking around, showing everybody where Jerry Seinfeld used to live, and we would drink craft beer while we do it.
That sounds like fun.
That would be awesome. I would like it. Here we go. A 3-hour tour right now. St. Louis, SavorSt.Louis.com. Thanks for joining us, Jennifer. We really appreciate it. St. Louis Food Tours. Make sure you go, get your tickets, get your food. And, she mentioned downtown needs a little bit of love. I've been writing a lot about downtown lately. And there is a lot going on downtown. There are a lot of restaurants and bars opening. There is a lot of development going on. The arcade building has been reopened. Lots of people moving downtown. And so despite some of the headlines and some of the high-profile violence and some of the negative things that occasionally happen, there really is a lot going on in downtown St. Louis. So whether or not we get a food tour going on, you can do your own food tour. I do one at lunch often.